everybody. Welcome to our Sunday night live at the Elementary Project-Based Learning page. I'm so excited to talk to you today about 5 ways that you can successfully build a community partner relationship. Today's topic was chosen during our poll. If you haven't voted in our poll before, please feel free. If you have suggestions, I always leave it open where you can add something that you would like to see in a video, so feel free to do that. But I post our polls every Monday and you have until Tuesday to vote for them. So if you've never done that before, feel free. As always, during today's live broadcast, if you comment at any time during this live, I will be sending you a free resource. Today's free resource is my survey for caring adults. It's going to be completely free to you, and I will send it your way. It also comes with a Google form that you can use, and it relates to today's topic about building strong community partner relationships. So I'm gonna go ahead and dive in, and like I said, if you comment at any time, even if it's just your name or that you're here, where you're from, then I will send you that link to the to the Caring Adult Survey. So let's go ahead and dive in. 5 ways to build strong relationships with your community partners. So my first tip is to network. Now that's kind of something that teachers were not as familiar with. That's part of a lot of the business world and not really something that we do as much as educators in the classroom is network. But I really recommend that you look at your local community's Chamber of Commerce and find some different networking events that occur in your community, and I recommend that you attend. A lot of times those events, you're kind of like a breath of fresh air in them, because most of the time it's other salespeople or entrepreneurs, different things like that. So if you go, you can really find people who are passionate about what it is that they do, and might be really great community partners for some of the PBLs that your students are doing. You can talk with them, and the second they find out that you're an educator and not somebody trying to sell them something, they completely change their demeanor towards you. So be brave, and I really recommend that you network, whether it's going in person or maybe joining LinkedIn or just kind of getting out there as a teacher and talking with people in your community so that you can be aware of the resources available to you. Another suggestion, like I said, is surveys. I'm really recommend that you send out surveys with your caring adults every year. I also recommend that if you are a PBL teacher in your school that is doing PBL and maybe the rest of the staff aren't participating in PBL, then I highly recommend that you also send out a staff survey just to kind of get familiar with the resources available in your building. It's also a good idea to do that if you are in a PBL school, because you know someone's husband may be a dietitian and someone's mom may be you know, a gardener with the Master Gardeners Club. There are lots of people in our lives that can make great community partners, and once you're more familiar with the resources available to you, it really helps you to build those strong relationships, because the most important part of picking a community partner is picking somebody who's passionate and really cares about what it is that they're doing. So networking, highly recommend it. Social media is another great one for that. My next recommendation for building a stronger relationship with a community partner is to make sure that when they are participating with you, you are really prepared. Now, we all prepare. I mean, you're a professional, you're prepared every day. But what I mean by preparing is to do some things that are very special and unique to that relationship with a community partner. First, I highly recommend that you email them before they come, letting them know some of the key points that you want to make sure that they talk about. You know, hello, welcome, we're so excited that you're going to be coming on Tuesday. Here are a couple of those bulleted points that we talked about. Please make sure to mention that it's important to have a greenhouse as a backup to an outdoor garden because of the area that we live in. This will really get my students thinking about fundraising for a greenhouse. You know, just making sure that you're hitting those bullet points so that they know what it is that they need to be talking about. I also recommend that if they are coming in to talk to your students, you give them some kind of a small piece of paper with suggested topics. Make sure that they know that it's suggested, because you want their conversation with your kids to be organic and natural, but sometimes people feel stumped. You know, most community partners aren't in front of kids every day, and so sometimes they feel a little bit stumped and need that extra guidance and assistance. I also recommend that you kind of give them a length if they're going to be doing a presentation, like a PowerPoint. Tell them, you know, please no more than 15 minutes, because my first graders can kind of get squirmy after that. If you go over a little bit, that's totally fine, but please try to keep it at 15 minutes, or they're going to lose, you're going to lose their attention. That way they know things like that. People that don't work with kids don't always know the amount of attention span that a child has, and you don't want them to be talking for 45 minutes. And then I highly recommend you prepare your kiddos. What do I mean by preparing your kiddos? Now, you may have already thought of this, but sometimes it's really good to have your students have cards with them that maybe have the questions that they want to ask your community partners, or things that they want to bring up as topics. The best place for that is from your knows and needs to knows, because most of your knows and needs to knows are going to relate to those community partners that have to do with your PBL. So before a community partner comes into the classroom, it is the perfect time to go back to that knows and needs to knows board. I'm going to link a link to the previous video that I did last week about knows and needs to knows if you are unfamiliar with what that is. Okay. Moving on to number 3. Number 3 is to be flexible and supportive. Now, I'm sure you're going to do that because, again, you're a professional. But let's talk about what that looks like with community partners specifically. Now, community partners sometimes are really nervous to come into the classroom, and what better way to make them feel more welcome and more comfortable than to meet them where they're at. Some community partners may not feel comfortable emailing. Some community partners may not feel comfortable calling and talking on the phone. Talk with them about what way they best prefer to communicate. Hey, you know, I just wanted to be open to your style of communication. Do you prefer text, call, email? What is the best way for me to be able to get a hold of you? What's the best way for my students to be able to get a hold of you? And then mark that down and use that method as often as possible, because you want to make sure that you're meeting your community partner wherever they're at. As well, some community partners may not be able to come to you. So you need to think, is this a community partner where I'm going to take a field trip to them? Is this a community partner that I need to Skype with or Zoom with? Is this a community partner that my students could take videos of themselves and send it? Or that the community partner could take a video of themselves and send it to me? Is this someone that I as a teacher could go and record and bring them back to the classroom? There are many different ways to bring a community partner into your classroom, and it doesn't necessarily have to be physical. My last resort with a community partner is always to do a letter. It's not as personal as a video or to bring somebody in or to go to someone, but a letter does work if that's what you need to do. I think that's it for number 3. Yes, that's all the notes that I have for today. Okay, for number 4. This one is key. I think this is so important. A lot of times when we're doing a PBL and we first start off, we want to just use that community partner for an entry event or to teach a specific part, and then that's it. And that's okay if that's what you do maybe once or twice. But if you are going to bring a community partner into your PBL unit, I highly recommend multiple times having interaction with them. It makes it more authentic for the students. It adds an element of accountability for your students. And it helps your community partners feel more invested in your project, which ultimately is going to help them give your students more of their time, energy, and attention. This makes your PBL much more authentic and real world for your kiddos. And I highly recommend hitting those visits or those interactions more than once throughout your PBL unit. Whether that's as an entry event and then having them come to the culminating event so they can present, or having them teach a specific thing that the students need to know and then coming to that culminating event to see the presentation, or having them come in multiple times to see a prototype in development. Whatever way it is that you want that community partner to be coming in, it's best if they come in at least 2, if not 3 or 4 times. My final one is so important. So important. Because you may want to use your community partner more than once. What happens is, as educators, kids talk to each other. And if you are a teacher doing a specific PBL unit that becomes well known in your building, your students are going to come up that next year and they're going to say, hey, this is the year where we get to do the habitat or the habitats, right? Like the zoo, we get to do the zoo in our classroom. And you get to say, oh, if that's something you guys want to do, you get to pick when we talk about your PBLs. Go ahead and bring it up when we talk. And in your head, you're going, yes, please choose that because I've already planned it all. But every year, if you've done a PBL unit, it was something that the whole school was involved in, you're going to have kids come up and ask you about it. If that's the case, you want to make sure that you have those community partners that were involved still in your back pocket, those friends that you used the years before and you want to be able to collaborate with them again. So if that's the case, then I highly recommend that every time that you use a community partner, you show gratitude. You show that gratitude by sending a thank you card, not only after the culminating event, but after every single interaction. You keep them updated by either inviting them to like your school's page so that they can see pictures of you doing things, or you ask for their phone number and ask them if you can text them pictures. Just something really simple and easy. Maybe one picture every now and then. Hey, just so you know, the kids used what you taught them to do this activity. Check out this one example. Something simple like that, so they know that you're thinking about them, so that they know what they did mattered. It's very easy once they're out of sight and out of mind to forget about them, but it's really important to keep them in the loop. I think it's great to send those thank you cards at the culminating event, but it's also great to say thank you as you're going throughout. As well, if you so happen to remember or maybe set reminders on your phone, it's a great idea to send your community partners messages throughout the year outside of those PBL units too. Hey, it's spring, we were just thinking about you. No, we haven't talked to you since last fall, but here's a picture of the kiddos. Look at how much they've grown. They've invested their time and their energy in these kids, and it's really important to keep them in the loop so that they feel like, hey, that was totally worth my time. That was worth an investment. When you come back to them then that following year, you're going to be fresh in their memory too. Oh yeah, I loved working with that teacher and those kids. That was great. What a great experience. I would love to continue to do that because it really seemed to make a difference for those kiddos. And ultimately, that's what your community partners want. They want to make a difference in the lives of kids. So the more you can show them that they're doing that, the stronger that relationship is that you will have built. And that is all for me. Yeah, that's it. That's all I've got. So I'm going to give you a couple more seconds if anybody would like to comment, because I have that Caring Adult survey I would love to give to you during the live broadcast. Anybody? All right, well, that's all for me, folks. I will talk to you later. I can't wait to see you next Sunday. I will post my poll on Monday, and see you then. Bye.